Okay, it's on. Okay, Graham. Now you were born in 1907. What city were you born in?
1907, September 16, in Tehran, Iran.
Ah, and you grew up there and went to school there.
I went to a missionary, American missionary high school there,
All the way through high school.
all the way through high school. I finished school in 1925.
Do you remember any big news events while you were growing up? Till about that time? World War I or anything like that? Do you remember hearing about them?
Yes, we were hearing about the World War I.
The Titanic, maybe?
Titanic was 1912.
Yeah. Well, you were a little young then, I guess.
I was little young.
5 years. How about when you were in high school? Didn't they also want to send you to America?
I wanted to go to America,
Oh.
and one of my teachers, Miss Doolittle, said that she can arrange for me if I want to go. But my mother was very much against it because it took 3 months in a cargo ship to come from America to Tehran. There were no airplanes or any other means of coming but this ship.
What made you want to go, Graham, back then? What was it that made you want to go?
Well, when I went, I saw the teachers who came from America, how nice they were, how prepared. I wanted to come and get a college education. There was no college for girls. The missionary school was only high school for the girls.
So most Armenian women there didn't go to college. There was no way for them to go.
There was no college to go.
Ah, okay. And let's see, what was your favorite subjects in high school? What did you like to study?
Psychology was my preference.
Psychology. Oh, that's interesting.
I was-
And you played sports too, I hear.
Well, we had baseball, we had hockey, not ice hockey.
Field hockey
Hockey and basketball.
and basketball, and you played.
And I loved very much, and I played in both of them.
Oh, very nice. Did you do any other extra activities in school? Any other kind of clubs or anything like that?
Well, we had to go to church for religious education, and I loved to go there, and we sang there. We had I don't know, we had other things. We had French, 1 hour of French a week, and 1 hour of Armenian a week. Every day we had Persian lessons, and all our subjects were in English.
Were in English. Oh. Now, Graham, there were no movie theaters back then.
Oh yes, there were movies.
When did you see your first movie?
We loved to go to see movies. I don't remember which one was the first.
Is the old silent movies before?
Yes.
Yeah. And then later on, the 30s came around, and then
Yes, later on.
the sound movies came out. Oh, very good. Now, when did you meet Grandpa?
I met him in 1924.
So before you graduated high school.
Yes. He was living in my mother's house. He was a tenant there. We met and then we got close. I loved Russian language, and he was teaching me Russian when we met. And then we met.
That's good. What was he doing for work before you met him? Was he?
He was a driver for a German chemist who was selling the dyes for the Persian rugs. We met and we got married.
Ah. Will your parents approve?
My father was dead. He died in 1918
Ah.
of pneumonia.
Mm-hmm.
My mother was there and she approved.
Mm-hmm. How about your siblings, your sisters, brother?
I had two sisters and one brother. One sister died after my father died. And then my brother died a couple of years later from Malta fever.
Mm.
And my sister died of tuberculosis
Uh-huh.
also later.
Okay.
So I was the only one left.
Were you the youngest?
I was the oldest.
The oldest. Oh, boy. And then, so let's see, the early 30s come around, and it's not the wartime yet. So what were you doing basically? What was your life like?
Well, I was married and I had two daughters, so I was taking care of them.
Well, Mom was born in 1927.
Yes, and Auntie was born in 1936.
Uh-huh. So you were raising the children, and what was Grandpa doing? Was he still a driver? You recall?
No, he bought
Property?
no, he bought
A business?
cars for big cars to transport
Trucks?
things from other cities to Tehran.
Ah,
He had two trucks, big trucks, and we had a good life.
did he drive as well, or did he just have other people
Yes,
drive?
no, he drove.
He drove as well.
He drove one, and the other, he had a driver for the other one.
Uh-huh. So now let's say it's 1939, war rolls around. Right? What changed in your life?
Well, the change was that when the Russians and the Americans came to Iran, there were lots of work for people who could make it, and he got into that phase, and he made a lot of money then. They were paying very good for transporting things.
Basically
from one
transporting.
city to the other.
Right. And the Americans, and was this working for Americans, or in doing it basically as a contract, or?
No, he was a contractor. He was working for the war, whoever was there,
Ah.
Russians or Americans or...
So he was doing it for all of them, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
How about the British, Graham? Anything for the British?
Yeah, the British, the Americans and the Russians, they were the ones who were doing things for the war to
Did it get hard at all between 1939 and 1945? Were there any problems?
No, there were no real problems for us.
Mm-hmm.
We just lived better because he was making more money.
And he was transporting also from the Americans to the Russians for Lend-Lease, right? The weapons and the ammunition,
Yes,
that was all being done.
yes.
Very good. And when the war ended in 45, did the jobs dry up pretty much?
Yes, yes. When the war ended, it wasn't that, there weren't that many jobs as there were before. That is the time when we decided to come to America.
Now, isn't it true that you didn't know that it was a final move? You thought it was a vacation?
No, no. I knew that your grandpa was determined to come here and live here. And we had to travel a whole year until we got the visa to come to America. We visited Beirut, Jerusalem, Egypt, and then we came to America in 1946.
1946. So how did you leave? By boat from Tehran, or were there planes
No,
then?
from Tehran we came in a car.
In a car?
In a car to Damascus and then Beirut,
Uh-huh.
and we traveled in a car.
In Damascus? How long did you stay in Damascus, do you know?
Damascus we were only a few hours.
Oh, okay.
But we came to Beirut, we were there for 1 month.
Uh-huh.
And we loved Beirut. It was a beautiful city, Christian, everybody, everywhere you look, every churches, most of the people were Christian.
It was nothing like it is now with the war and everything.
No,
It was a beautiful...
it was a beautiful city,
uh-huh.
very beautiful city.
And after Beirut, you went to Egypt?
After Beirut we went to Jerusalem,
Ah.
and from Jerusalem we went to Egypt.
How long did you stay in Jerusalem?
Maybe 3 months.
3 months in Jerusalem? And you stayed at the King David Hotel? You recall?
No.
No.
In David Hotel. We were in some other hotel.
Ah. And then you went to Egypt?
And then we went to Egypt, Cairo, and we were there for another 3 months or 4 months until we got our visa there,
Mm-hmm.
and then we came to America.
How did you get from Cairo to the U.S.? By boat or by plane?
Well, the first time TWA had the transatlantic trips to America, and we were almost the second or the third people to travel on those trains. But because there were not too many spaces, I came with my 2 daughters to America first, and then Grandpa and his mother came a week or 2 weeks later.
2 weeks later. Hmm. Did you meet any people on your travels that you knew today, let's say, for the first time? Did you make any acquaintances that you kept up with?
They were all from Iran, the people who were there. We knew them already. We met one American that we became friends with, and when we came to America, that person helped us a little bit.
Good. Okay, Graham. Now, isn't it true that when you were coming here first, when you first left Iran, didn't you think it was a vacation?
I thought it was a vacation, but your grandpa was determined he is coming for good.
And what happened? How did he tell you that we're not going back?
When we came to Beirut, he said, I'm going to go to the American consulate and see when we can get a visa to go to America. And I said, I'm not coming to America because my brother and sister have died and I was the only child of my mother. I didn't want to come. But he said, if you don't want to come, you and your daughters go back. I'm not coming back.
Wow.
So I had no choice.
Was your mother alive then?
Yes, my mother was alive and she was left alone with her. She had sisters and brothers, but I was her only child.
Well, how did you tell her that you weren't coming back? Did you send her a letter or call?
I sent her a letter saying that we got our visa here and it is very hard to get a visa now. Now that we have, my husband wants to go to America and I can't do it.
Was she upset?
Well, probably she was, I didn't see her. But after 1 year, I went back and brought my mother back with me to America.
Oh,
She lived here for 1 whole year. And then she said, I want to go back. I don't want to live here.
was it because that she was uncomfortable or she didn't have anybody she knew?
My brother had 3 children then, and she was very close to those children. She said, I'm missing them terribly. I want to go back. I don't want to stay.
Were these Onik and his brother and sister?
Unique and like.
Ah, very good.
It was very hard for my mother to live with Babo, your father's mother,
Grandfather's mother.
grandfather's mother.
Yeah, they didn't get along, I guess, huh?
Well, she was a quiet person, and the other one was critical about everything, and I guess he didn't like her too much.
Mm. Which house were you living in at that time?
Huh?
Which house were you living in at that time?
We were living in Ingram Street, the first house that we had.
Ah,
And then we moved from there to Garden, where we had that big house.
and then from there you moved to the 69th Avenue, or did you move to another house?
From there, we moved here to this location, and we're still living here.
That's right. And how has it changed around here since you first came?
It is a completely new city. When we came here, there weren't so many people, and they were mostly Americans, but now it is all from
Different countries.
Korea,
Uh-huh.
Philippines,
Russia.
Russia, China.
Hmm.
It is very different. The population is completely changed.
Grandma, when you first came here, Metropolitan Avenue was being built, right?
There was a trolley going through Metropolitan Avenue to Jamaica,
Ah,
and we used that very often until they took it off.
and then they built the stores and the
And
service
then they
stations.
started building the stores and apartments and
Graham, when you guys first got here, how long before Grandpa got a job or started working or did something?
I have to tell you, when he came here, he was very disappointed in the beginning. He thought if you have $10,000, that's a big money and you can live. But when he found out that unless you have a big, good job to earn some money and eat whatever you have, will be gone in a short time.
So what did he do?
One of his friends whom we met in Tehran, the Ashmans, he bought a
Motel?
motel in in South Carolina,
North Carolina.
North Carolina, and by his help, he was managing the hotel, and we were making a little money, not too much, until he had to sell the place. He sold that place, and then he wasn't doing anything, until one day he read in the paper that two people are looking to buy a store in Franklin Square
For auto parts.
and auto body, and they would like to have a partner. He went and met them, and he saw that it's a good deal. One of them was a little mechanic that would do things in the basement of the store, and the other one was somebody who knew parts of the car, and he was doing the paperwork. And that was a very good job that he started 2 years before he passed away.
Now, when you had the motel in North Carolina, did you ever consider moving to North Carolina?
No, no, it was just an investment.
How long did you have that, do you know?
Maybe 3 years.
3 years? Now, when did he go down to Argentina with the Cadillacs?
We had just bought this house, 1949.
Ah,
That one of his friends in Iran, a Persian Jew, told him that he's going to Argentina, and if he wants to go with him, there's a lot of good opportunity to make money. So he bought 4 cars, and he went with this man. But as soon as they got there, the rules were changed, and they didn't let anybody buy or sell anything there. So they confiscated the cars, they took them out, and we never saw them again.
so they had to come back.
We came back empty-handed.
Hmm.
The cars were left there. But we loved Argentina. He was thinking of moving to Argentina. But I said, no more moving. We have traveled enough, and we're going to stay here.
How long had he been in Argentina that he loved it so much?
He was there almost 4 or 5 months.
Oh. What did he do there while he was there?
I don't know, he was with this man. They were together. They were trying to get the cars out or what, but they couldn't.
Did he run into Uncle Ruben down there?
No.
No. No. So he came back. Now, when did he buy part of the apartment building in Manhattan?
That was maybe 1953 or
53. So it was actually later on. And he was partners with Aratun.
yeah.
Anyone else, or just the two of them?
No, I think it was there too. Abraham,
Abram.
35.
And how long did they own the apartment building?
After he bought the apartment, he was sorry that he bought it.
Why is that?
Because this Aratun was coming every day and saying, the blacks are moving there, it's not a good location, we have to sell it. But then we found out that his idea was to buy himself and get rid of his 2 partners.
Do you recall where?
And Abraham.
Do you recall where the apartment building was? What street or what neighborhood?
No.
No. What, who did he get out first, Avram or Grandpa?
Grandpa, he got the grandpa out, and then because Avram was left by himself, he had to sell it.
Good. Because Aratun had more of a share.
Half of the share, and he still had half of the.
Right. And how did he get it from Grandpa? He talked him into it on a Sunday or something?
On a Sunday, he wanted to buy it first, but I was very much against it. I said, now that we have bought it, let us hold on to it. And then I said, even if you want to sell, you have to wait until Abram is here. He was in Tehran at that time. And, but he was clever enough to take him one Sunday and convince him that it is to his benefit if he sells it himself. So he sold it. When the cat came home, I was very mad that he did it without my consent. And we even went to talk to Aratun not to do this thing. But Aratun got so angry and red and he almost had a heart attack. He said, if you do that, I'm going to sue you for it. Because he took him to a lawyer and he signed the papers already.
Grandpa didn't wonder why Aratun was saying, I'll buy your share, I'll do all this, don't worry about
He
it?
was so scared of buying property that he wanted to sell it, get rid of it.
Did he at least make a profit?
Very little, very small profit.
That's a shame.